Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Mick Alphanim. There is so much happening with stablecoins right now. And I just want to say XRP is about to dominate when it comes to stablecoins. And I'm going to tell you exactly why I say that. Now, on allbridge.medium.com, we have this little posting here. It says Allbridge partners with on XRP to bring stablecoin assets to the XRPL. Let's just read this little tidbit here, okay? This is huge. This is the beginning of something, in my humble opinion. We are thrilled to announce our latest partnership with On XRP, an ecosystem of products enabling DeFi accessibility for the XRPL community. Together with On XRP, Allbridge will expand the access to stablecoin assets on XRPL. Our bridge solution will facilitate stablecoin transfers to On XRP's DEX, starting with Ethereum, USDT, and multiple other stablecoin options in the future. In addition, the upcoming launch of On XRP's NFT marketplace will enable users from different networks to interact with the growing NFT community on the XRP ledger. Okay, we can stop right there. This is why I say, and it goes beyond this. It goes beyond this, but this got me excited. XRP would dominate when it comes to stablecoins. Now, what we're seeing from stablecoins right now is nothing compared to what's going to come in the future. Because with regulatory clarity and mass adoption, mark my words, there will be people using stablecoins everywhere. Everywhere. But what does that mean? Especially the new generations. They love crypto. But what does that mean? That means there's going to be a need for more liquidity than ever. Who's the biggest crypto liquidity provider right now? Ripple. Who's holding the liquidity? You and I. That's huge. We want the XRPL deep. We want all of the money, don't we? We want all of the money. So that stablecoin money, listen, don't get me wrong. You have Stellar with USDC. All right. Also, we're going to talk about this, the Tron, which is going to give us the Tron stablecoin, which now Tron TRX is acting as a liquidity provider for the stablecoin. Listen, don't we want XRP to take as much money out of the world as possible? Not out of the world, but you get what I'm saying. So that price can skyrocket when the time is right. This is good. This is good. If you need mass liquidity, let's say you're a bank, because banks will be custodying stablecoins and issuing stablecoins, things of that nature. If you're going to need a liquidity provider, who's going to give it to you more readily than Ripple at this particular time? When Ripple is backed by massive financial institutions and commercial banks and central banks. They're on the Digital Euro Association. They're on the Digital Pound Association. They're on the Faster Payments Council for the United States. They have all of the top connections. This is good. This is huge, in my opinion, that XRPL is starting to get in deep with the stablecoins. They want to, listen, they need to get into all of the massive markets, and they have been. They have been. If you're watching what's going on, it's a beautiful setup. Beautiful. All we need to do is get this case over with. That's number one. And have mass adoption, flip that switch. That's number two. Now, the second part is the one that's a little bit shaky. Not the case. The case is going to end at some point. And in my opinion, it's not going to take that long. Even if it's next year, that's not that long to wait. That's not the part that is a little bit shaky. What's shaky is when are the commercial banks going to be ready? When are the central banks going to be ready? The large business institutions setting up infrastructure for all of these individuals, all of these entities, right? Then their employees have to have an education curve. We just covered a document about that, right? So their employees have to be educated on how to even use the system. That's where things get a little bit shaky, because people don't tend to learn new systems that easily. So that I'm a little bit concerned about, but maybe there's some sort of way that companies can incentivize their workers to learn a little bit faster. But that's why that learning curve, in my opinion, not just setting up infrastructure, but that learning curve is why it's been estimated to be like 4 to 5 years before everything is up and running. But what I'm saying is, while all of this is going on, let's make sure XRP is in everything, every massive market possible. stable coins. Let's take a huge piece of that. Biggest liquidity provider. XRP. NFTs, same thing. Let XRP take a chunk out of that. Not because of all the other stuff. I'm interested in the real estate. Real estate it's already happening. It's already happening. And I don't only say, let's take a big chunk of the real world NFT market where they're moving, represented value of actual assets in the world across the NFT market, across the blockchain. Not just that, I say, let's get into that metaverse. That's what I say. Let's get into that metaverse and let's have some of that land in that metaverse. Some of that land is have you seen the money? Let's have some of that value floating across XRPL as well. Let's really go for all of the money. And I see them doing that, by the way. I do see them doing that. The metaverse thing, though, I'm not so sure about, but I say let's take a piece of that also. Things are looking really, really good for XRP. I mean, like, what Ripple is doing, I love everything they're doing right now. And I appreciate them as a company because they're here to make money. I'm here to make money. We're here to make money. We're not here to argue with people. We're not here to be tribalist over this crypto, that crypto. No, keep your eye on the money. Get money at the top, money at the bottom. You got some long holes. You got some quick money plays. You be smart with your money. You know what you have, right? Right? You don't put anything out there that is detrimental to you. You don't want to invest anything that's detrimental to you. Put your life on the line. Nothing like that. Be careful. Be careful. But we're here to make money, right? This is really, really good. Now, let's go into that Tron TRX stablecoin because I think that's a great example of we'll be able to observe on what can happen to a cryptocurrency's price when it acts as a liquidity provider for a stablecoin. For a long time, and I'm going to circle back around to XRP. Long time I've been telling people, when you're dealing with stablecoins, you need liquidity to be able to have that price stabilized, okay? Now, when you're dealing with blockchain technology, it would make sense that if you're going to have a liquidity provider, the provider of that liquidity I think the primary candidate would be your native token, right? I mean, your native coin. So when it comes to something like Stellar, I think it would be logical that the primary liquidity, as they said on their website, would be XLM. Now, Stellar Foundation hasn't been saying that. Heck, they haven't even been saying the name XLM, but it's logical. Now, why do I say that? I'm gonna draw a correlation here. Tron. This got me so fired up. There's a new kid on the block as a liquidity provider. Tron just became a liquidity provider, the TRX coin, for its new stable coin. Now, there's no telling how widely used this new stable coin is going to be, but the very fact that TRX, Tron, the coin, will be used for liquidity means that we're about to get a good indicator of what providing liquidity for a massive project like a stable coin can do to the price of a native coin, a native token. This is why, and I just said this in the members only section, this is why I am going to be watching Tron very closely to see how that affects that price. Now, granted, I don't follow Tron, so I don't know how many partnerships. I'm going to look into it, how many deals they have, because I know Stellar has a lot. It's in a lot of different places. As a matter of fact, we're going to circle back around to XRP. Don't worry, we're going to tie this together. Just walk with me down this path, okay? Now, I know Stellar's in a lot of different places. As a matter of fact, I just went to the IBM website for WorldWire, and apparently it was updated. Now, I looked and just visually, I should have screenshot the old website. I don't know what they added or changed, but everything is still a go. It's still a go with WorldWire, apparently, or else it was updated, I think, today or yesterday. Everything is the same. Still, Stellar Protocol is at the middle of WorldWire. Everything's still good, looking good. Because if it wasn't, the update would have negated something. It would have taken something away. It would have erased the web page, right? It would have said WorldWire is no more or something, or we're not using Stellar Protocol. They would have changed the diagram, correct? All right, so everything looked the same. I think there was a few things I might have questioned if it was added, and they were positive in my opinion. So you still have Stellar XLM. I'm not going to say Stellar. XLM. It's decentralized, right? So we don't even have to include Stellar. XLM being used as liquidity. But getting back to my point, we're about to see on a smaller scale, depending on what Tron does. I mean, they could take this all away if they want to. We're about to see how being a liquidity provider for a stablecoin affects price. Now that Tron is going to establish itself as a liquidity provider, I mean, they could take that in many different ways. Let's go to XRP. Now, watching what Tron does, think about this for a moment. Now, this is going to take some time, of course. They got to get things up and running. People have to get used to using that stablecoin, and TRX is going to get into the flow of providing liquidity. Let's watch how that price goes up. Let's just take note, because it's on a much smaller scale of what they're trying to do than what Stellar's trying to do, than what XRP is trying to do. So whatever Tron does, we can use that as an example and put a few X's on that. X2, X3. When it comes to XRP, maybe X10, X50, X100 or something like that. Why do I say that? Like I said, this is just a small step, but we get to finally watch a liquidity token, a new entrant to the liquidity field, a liquidity coin, provide that liquidity and observe what happens to that price. This is a great indicator. This is something that I will watch closely. Now, why I said before X10, X50, X100, when it comes to XRP, listen, XRP is trying to do interbank payments. We're talking millions of dollars on average on some of those. All right. At the lowest point, the lowest numbers we saw last year for interbank payments was like $400,000. You're providing liquidity for that. What does that make? What does that mean for XRP's price? People have to keep that in mind. This is not something that I take as a game when it comes to XRP. Not even a little bit. So yes, of course, that price, there's no telling where they could put that. They can take that XRP price. And here's the other thing. See, they didn't elaborate when they're talking about Tron. This is why it's going to be so interesting and why I put so many X's on what XRP could possibly do over what Tron could do. But we need to watch Tron to get an indication. With all of this data is good. You get what I'm saying? Tron is the liquidity is coming from retail. As far as we know right now, they haven't elaborated on whether they're bringing in companies to try to provide liquidity. When I saw what they were trying to do, I immediately said to myself, this looks like they copy XRP. Listen, the way that I read the article and the way things were set up, and I saw this a few times, a few different articles, it looked to me like they copy XRP. I'm not making this up. Like it looks like they're copying XRP. Simple as that. But it seems their liquidity is coming from retail. Now, if they were to bring in companies, small businesses, some big businesses, I don't know. Can they land a bank, a commercial bank? I don't know. Then that makes it even more interesting. But for now, the way it seems, retail is providing the liquidity, right? You're a holder of your TRX. And so the liquidity from that helps and aids in the stabilization of that stablecoin by providing liquidity for it, right? I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong on this. XRP's liquidity providers are not you and I. It's not you and I. It's banks. It's large financial institutions. Apparently, according to Ripple, hundreds of them. What do you think is going to do to that price? You think that price is going to raise? Raise the toe? That price is going to raise. So that's why I'm saying you get X50 on XRP, X100, not outright. I'm talking about over what Tron is doing. Somebody else there saying, you think XRP is going to X100? And I'm not talking about outright. I'm talking about in comparison to what Tron is going to do. So we can use Tron as an example of where the price of how being a liquidity provider to a much lesser scale would affect the price of that liquidity token or coin. And then we can extrapolate from that and do various calculations on where we think XRP's price can go. It gets you a little closer to where you might want to envision the price of XRP going. You get what I'm saying? We have to be scientists here now. This is where we really have to. We're going to get a great example right now. I did not see that aspect come in. I knew Tron was working on a stable coin. A couple of crypto companies are working on stable coins. I think VeChain I believe, had a stable coin or is working on one or came out with one. I have no idea. I mostly keep up with the bank coins, everyone. And I don't know how they're providing liquidity for that, or if they have a liquidity provider. I don't know. But I do know that anyone who issues a stable coin without trying to provide liquidity for it is going to be in trouble. And that's one of the things I believe that the central banks didn't anticipate. You have to have that cushion, that liquidity cushion for your stable coins. But anyway, that got me fired up. So we're about to get a great example, and just keep an eye. I don't want to repeat myself too much. Now, this is also very, very important to have that data, to have that information, watching something like Tron, because it seems that a lot of activity is starting to ramp up with CBDCs, okay? Now, they released so much data the last week on CBDCs and the possibility of banks issuing CBDCs. I know a lot of you probably saw the tweet that Bank of International Settlements put out, and it was for the results of their 2021 BIS survey on central bank digital currencies, right? So there was that one, but there's so many PDFs that they don't post to their Twitter. Don't ever think that they put everything on Twitter. You have to go to the BIS.org site and do a search on CBDCs or digital currencies, and you're going to see there's like other PDFs that they put out that they just don't tweet. Also, I want to say that, remember I was telling you that the bank coins are forcing the central banks to ramp up their efforts to put out CBDCs. Here's a little tidbit. This is on page 12 of the 2021 Bank of International Settlements survey on central bank digital currencies. And this is what they said. It says, on average, 79% of AE central banks said that the emergence of stablecoins and other cryptocurrencies has accelerated their work on CBDCs as compared with 48% of EMDE central banks. So, as I said, the bank coins are forcing them to acquiesce to issuing CBDCs. CBDCs will need liquidity. CBDCs will need bridge currencies. CBDCs will need interoperability. CBDCs will need infrastructure. CBDCs will need to be able to reach corridors that they don't have set up. Who provides those corridors? And that's another thing. In a lot of their documents recently, they've been talking a lot about, financial inclusion. They sounded a lot like the foundations, like Stellar, like Ripple, all this financial inclusion nonsense. You know it's nonsense because of how the central banks operate with all of these austerities, right? They place all of these central bank austerities on these countries and just bring them to their knees and keep them there, right? So anything they try to do innovative to get a leg up, so to speak, and to make extra capital, the central banks come in, mostly the IMF, which is like the pit bull of central banks. They come in and they say, no, you can't do that. But what about this? Can we do this to make some capital and innovate? No. Well, what can we do? Nothing. Stay the same. We just want you to follow our rules. That's it. So they literally, through austerity, choke off a lot of the potentiality of those countries. And they can control them because they give them loans. They do different things for them. While the countries are weak, they come in while those countries are weak. They offer them certain things, and now they have a measure of control over them. But what the countries don't understand is that by working with those particular central banks, they were going to lose the ability to be able to pull themselves up and do better in the future. If you don't believe that, see what was going on in El Salvador. Sure, they want to take a chance because they see an opportunity. Now, that's up to them to decide their fate. Whether the project succeeds or fails, that should be up to them. But the central bank was saying, nope, we don't even want you to take that chance. Nope, you can't use Bitcoin. And so they went against them. And there was a couple of other countries that they did that too. And they wielded their authority and their austerities under the guise of we want to help stabilize your economy. This is what they say, right? It's all a guise because they understand that the cryptocurrencies will help these countries around the world break free of the system. They can be independent of the system, right? And so they would not necessarily need central banks anymore. That's a key. That's a key thing here. People need to understand the central banks and the commercial banks are fighting for their existence. They can be eradicated. And I'll say this quite easily, I might add, because they can't keep up with the desire of the people. The people are desiring something where they can have financial freedom, real financial freedom. They're not buried in debt. They don't have to worry about a bank holding their money. So you work really hard, you earn $500,000. I'm using a real example, by the way, of something that was in the media what happened to a celebrity recently. So you worked really hard, you put $500,000 in your bank, you're trusting them, and they're not notifying you that when you come back for that $500,000, you can't have that $500,000. We're going to give you 50,000 right now. You can come back for a little bit more later. What? I can't have my 500,000. That's going to drive people to want to custody their money themselves and take their money that they worked hard for into their own hands so that they can have access to it whenever they want to. And how do they do that? They do that now through XRP, through different cryptocurrencies that they might trust. Heck, they might even do it through Bitcoin. But the bottom line is the central banks are fighting for their existence. The commercial banks, the same. And heck, even some of the commercial banks are going against the central banks. But let's circle back around. XRP, Ripple. You're starting to see the truth come out. That liquidity is necessary. It's important. And you see a lot of other coins trying to jump on the liquidity bandwagon. Now, they're going to serve as good examples of what can happen and provide good data, good observable data for us research scientists. OK, but XRP being the absolute biggest crypto liquidity provider right now. I mean, they have some huge financial institutions that are going to be adding to the liquidity pool when there's regulatory clarity. I believe they have there's so much big money that's going to be pulled together. Now, when you're talking about commercial banks using XRP or XRPL, you're talking about central banks using XRPL. And they said, do we have a number here? Just give me one moment, everyone. I'm trying to see. I have so many PDFs up on this here. I'm trying to make a members only video here. I have like 5 PDFs up on this screen here. And there was a number they put, but it was a great number of central banks. I can't find it right now. Let's scroll to the top here. There's a great number of central banks working on issuing. They didn't say that they're just working on developing. OK, and I'm going to post these documents, of course, as I usually do in the members only section, and hopefully everybody gives them a read. It was a survey of 81 central banks. And it says 90% of the central banks, not commercial, central banks are engaged in some form of CBDC work. OK, and it was a large part of them that it said somewhere here. Don't worry, I'll find it. Maybe I'll put it in another video. They were saying that they're working on issuing CBDC. So they're getting to that point where they're almost ready to issue CBDCs, not just researching them, but issuing them, putting them out. That's huge, because when that happens, whoever Ripple is working with, man, we need that regulatory clarity right now. Whoever Ripple is working with, if that central bank or commercial bank decides to issue their CBDCs and we have regulatory clarity, you better watch out. That price is going to explode. Can you feel the intensity through the screen? I have never said anything so serious in my life. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let me calm down. Let me calm down a little bit. But I'm excited. I'm fired up. I'm excited. So many things have been proven correct this year that I've said. We're about to get a good example in the Tron thing about liquidity, being a liquidity provider. I do expect there to be some FOMO. I'm going to wait really to observe closely until after the FOMO run. I do expect a FOMO run on Tron. I do. And I'm not saying for anybody to go out there and run and buy Tron or something like that. I don't gain anything from you buying Tron at all. OK, I was just speaking on it and bringing it up as an example, because after the FOMO pop, we're going to get a good example of the true nature of what it is to be a liquidity coin. Of course, like I said, to a much lesser degree. but still that gives us some observable data to work with. So I'm going to just leave everybody with that. I just thought that was interesting in correlation to XLM, which has USDC on their blockchain, which obviously it would need liquidity at some point if it's going to be used in mass, which is not used in mass just yet. Okay. Because there hasn't been mass adoption. There hasn't been mass adoption by retail. There hasn't been mass adoption by large business institutions, banks and such. We haven't had regulatory clarity to have mass adoption of the bank coins just yet. And we need that before they step in and start using everything. So we can't get a good example in that way. Same thing with XRP, the bank coin of all bank coins, of course. We don't have that example. But with Tron, apparently they're going for it. They're going for it, but not to where they need mass adoption. But it's going to give us a small window into what being a liquidity provider can do. And I think that's very, very important in my opinion. So it's something I just wanted to bring to the table to say, let's keep our eye on this and let's take some notes. That's what I really wanted to point out. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I will be returning to the comment section in a few days. I'm still working on that same project, so I have to really get back to concentrating on it. So I'll try to put out the videos and get back to working on this particular project. It's not crypto related. And then once I get back into the comment sections, I'll be able to do the championships and things of that nature. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.